Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to give another minute or two to let people pop on. But if you were signed up for the training, how to get more media in just 1 hour a week, then you are in the right place. And if you could just type in the chat box and let me know that you can hear everything and you can see everything, that would be awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, well, let's get started. I really like to value other people's time. And so for those of you who showed up early, I appreciate it. And like I said, I really like to get started on time. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, this webinar is called More Media in Just 1 Hour. And we're really going to be talking about how to put together a plan and how to organize your time around this media schedule so that you can really focus on getting the media that you need in order to take your business to another level, or take your brand to another level, or take your book to another level. I really focus on experts, authors, speakers, but this really could work for anybody. And so I want to just officially welcome you and congratulate you on taking action. So how did a real estate investor with no marketing experience make 6 figures from his first high-end seminar? And now 5 months later, his high-end clients pay him $100,000 each. We got him booked on CNN. It skyrocketed the sales and revenue for his business. How did a single mom land a $150,000 contract with a high-end client and now host her own events? We booked her on a local NBC, the local NBC News affiliate, and she packed out her event, and she was able to pick up a very high-end client. And how did a pastor from a small town outside of Dallas, Texas, attract almost a dozen clients at $500 each and then make another $59,000 in just 29 days? We taught him how to book media. He got himself booked on TV One. It was really quite a funny story, a little controversial, but it end result is that he really changed his life and changed his business and changed his church. He now, it's a whole different scenario because he got some media. So here's the deal. I have created a proven formula that has the power of helping anyone take their business, brand, or book into the spotlight so that you really can spread your message to millions. The people I just mentioned and thousands of other entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, and experts have really used media successfully to build a booming business that attracted not only their ideal client that are willing to pay them, but it upped their perceived value and it upped their visibility, so they were able to play on a whole different level. It's just this simple strategy that literally transforms the roadblocks that keep most of us, I think, from getting the media that we deserve, only because we kind of feel some kind of way. But we really are deserving of attracting those high-paying clients, the high visibility speaking engagements, the high-level media opportunities that we all want and that we know is going to transform our business. And it's this strategy that kind of demystifies the world of media and gets us all unstuck, so that we can design a personal system that not only increases, like I said, our client load, but increases our visibility, grows our platform, and that leads to more revenue. And it's this system that weeds out the people that just kind of want to watch and lurk and not pay you for your value, but it connects you with what I call the dreamers and the doers, like you and me, who have highly passionate messages with the media outlets that can get those messages to millions. So in the next 40 to 50 minutes, we're going to leave some time for Q&A. So You know, the chat box is up and running and I can see you. So, you know, like I said, it's going to allow me to respond, and we'll take some questions. But really in 45 minutes, I want to show you how to go from no visibility to the spotlight. Or if you're already succeeding on some level with the media, get ready for success, probably beyond what you could even imagine in just an hour a week. So if you can relate to anything that I've been saying so far, you really want to take your book, your business, or your brand to the next level, type me in the chat room so I know who is with me. And of course, I want you to keep watching because we're really going to put together a plan. Awesome. I'm glad. Awesome. So the system that I created, it's called the Media Mogul Blueprint, and I've been quietly teaching it to my clients for the past few years. If you're an author, a speaker, a coach, an expert, an entrepreneur, this really, like I said, is focused on you. I really created this with you in mind. And I say that I've quietly been teaching it because for those who know me and know my business, I mean, I'm an author and a communicator at heart. And I really love, you know, creating content and producing content. And so I really wanted to stay in that arena. Like I didn't want to go anywhere else. But because I've been in the media for so long, so many people were asking me about my strategies and wanting me to do it. And finally, I started kind of coaching clients on that, like I said, very quietly. And then I saw what a phenomenal success it was. And so I really started creating programs around it. So like I said, the system I'm talking about is the Media Mogul Blueprint. And I'm going to, talk a little bit about it today, but really it's in the context of getting the more media in just an hour. But really some of the tips are taken from this actual blueprint. So just so that we honor our time together, and I'm going to have to do the same thing because I got a lot going on in my house today. We just got a new puppy. He's been here almost a week. It'll be a week tomorrow. And so he's still getting settled in. And sometimes he does things like annoy the older dog and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to try to eliminate as many distractions as possible, but turning off the phone, shutting down the notifications on the computer, all of that stuff, anything that could distract you from getting the information that really is going to change your book or your business or your brand forever, you should try to eliminate. So like I said, this really is going to just take, an hour out of your week, but what you're going to learn by the time we're done, I know will make a permanent change in your personal and your professional life. And I say personal and professional because, obviously when our business changes, when our income changes, that means that we can change some things in our personal lives. But I think also when you are able to make an impact, money aside, when you're able to make an impact, it changes our lives as well. So I am really excited that you guys are here today. And I really want, by the end of this time, for you to say goodbye to your visibility worries, which in turn will naturally end your money worries and your debt-related stress forever. So here's what we're going to do in the next 40 to 50 minutes. I'm a teacher at heart, so I always like to lay stuff out. We're really going to talk about your message because your message is key to everything, not just in media, but into business. And we're going to build a system for getting and leveraging media that leads to the lifestyle that you want. And I believe in lifestyle. I believe in having a lifestyle-friendly business. And probably because I didn't have one for so long. I mean, my career has always been demanding, and that's one of the reasons that I resigned, is because I really wanted to live my life on my own terms. So I'm a big believer in that. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some more opportunities in order to take your business to the next level. So make sure that you stay through the entire webinar. So what we're going to learn today, one is how to design your media campaign. Two, how to define your goals in order to achieve your media campaign objective. Three, how to determine who it is that you want to reach with your media campaign. And four, how to develop a schedule for your media campaign so that it makes sense. We're also going to talk about how to develop your plan of attack because sometimes media has to be an attack. And then also how to measure the success of your campaign. So this system is extremely effective and will increase your impact and your income. You'd be shocked at how many of my clients are able to raise their prices after just a couple of media interviews. And it doesn't have to be, like the CNN interviews. It could be some of the smaller media outlets and even podcasts. It's going to be really interesting for you to see how it changed, because basically it really all boils down to credibility for you in the lane that you're operating in. And when you have more credibility that media can provide, that's when you can raise your prices. That's when you get more media opportunities. That's when you get the speaking engagements. It really, really is phenomenal. But before we start, I really just want to take a few minutes and share with you what kind of gives me the right to host this webinar. I know some of you may not be familiar with me yet and may be wondering why you should keep listening. So I just want to take care of that before we go any further. So my name is Nikki Woods, and I've spent 20 years in the media business. I've had audiences of upwards of 8 million people. And when I resigned, as I said earlier, I resigned because I wanted to kind of live my life on my own terms. And I created my company to help expert speakers, entrepreneurs, and authors who want to build sustainable brands, establish their authority, build profitable platforms, and attain visibility through new and traditional media. I've been attached to some of the biggest platforms. Tom Joyner was my last position. And like I said, we were in 122 cities. We had upwards of 8 million people, but I've also worked with Sherry Shepherd, Steve Harvey, Roland Martin, Don Lemon, who's on CNN. I've done media training for the NFL. And when I was in Chicago, I first was introduced to President Barack Obama, then senator, soon to be. He wasn't even a senator yet when I first met him. And when he first started, trying to figure out how social media could work with his brand, I did some work with him and Michelle. And so I'm really pleased that I was just a small part of his journey. And then, of course, once he was elected as president, we did some work together, as I was with the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and Tom was a big supporter of President Obama. I've also spoken on some of the biggest stages. I've sold a lot of books and gotten lots of media coverage of my own. But what I'm most proud of is I am the mother to 4 boys. There you see Willis, that's my youngest with the cupcake face, and then Tyler's over there in the driveway. My oldest dog, Max, he's the big brother. He's there laying on the rug. And there's Blue, the puppy that we just got. And so I'm excited. And then the other thing that I always like to share, because it really does motivate everything I do. I absolutely would not be who I am if I was not the daughter of this man. So I'm a big old daddy's girl. My daddy is my hero. And so I always mention him in some form or fashion whenever I'm talking, because I really do owe everything to him. So my goal for this webinar is to help you create your blueprint and your plan that allows you to get more media in just 1 week. And like I said, because I've spent so much time in media on the other side, I know what the media, because I was in charge of doing this for 8 years, I know what we're looking for. I know what the media wants, and I know how to get the media to say yes. Thank you. I love my family. Thank you so much. So let's start with the number one question that I'm asked by speakers, authors, experts, and entrepreneurs who are struggling in their business. And here's the question. They really want to know how they can get more visibility, which means that they want more eyes on their business, on their brand, on their book. And then the second biggest question is, how do I get more visibility that leads to more clients and more revenue? So if you're a speaker, author, expert, or entrepreneur, and you want to learn the fastest and easiest way to become more magnetic to the media so you can attract more clients and convert them into more revenue for your business in just 1 hour, then what I'm about to teach you on this webinar is a game changer, because I believe at this moment that you're one subtle shift away from breaking through the ceiling to creating everything that you've always wanted. I think that, most people are like on the right track, but it's just, they just have some nuances that need to be kind of shifted in order for them to be successful. But the challenge is, if you're like most people, there's a little voice inside your head that's saying, yeah, right, Nikki, and you sound just like that. Getting more media is a lot of work. And if it were easy, it's probably something a lot more people would have been doing. And so I am going to disagree with your little voice. And for just the duration of this hour, I'm going to ask you that you put that voice on hold, and that you listen to it afterwards if you choose to, because that little voice never goes away. You can choose to listen or you can choose to ignore it. But if you can just hang with me for an hour, and believe that anything is possible, I really will show you how to make this media thing work for you. So if that is a deal, type deal in the chat box so I can see who's with me. In my experience, like I said, it's really just that small change today that's going to create the momentum. Oh, awesome. That's going to create the momentum to sustain a lasting impact. So if that little voice is still saying, can I do this? Please let me be the big voice here in the situation and give you the correct answer. And the answer is yes, you can. Anybody really can apply this. And I'll explain why in a little bit, but this really does work for everybody. Because you already have the message, you have the expertise, you already, and I want you to hear me, you already have everything you need. So you don't really have to learn anything new. You just need to, apply what you already know and work it within the system. So I hope that makes sense. And just trust me, I've been in this business a long time, but I've also been a coach for a while. And so I know every excuse that pops up when it's time to push past the limits. It gets uncomfortable. And so things come at you and you kind of create things that might stop you from really being the success that you deserve to be. I've also been coached for a very long time, and I continue to be coached as I try to take my business to, higher and higher levels. And so I am my student. Every time I have a new client, I see something in them that reminds them of me. So sometimes you have to agree that it's okay for other people to stand for your transformation. And that's what I do for my clients. I stand for their transformation. I see the greatness in them, even when they sometimes don't see it in themselves. So with that being said, let's get into the structure of how to create your system to get more media coverage in an hour. The first thing is that you need to design your media campaign, right? So this means that you need to define and write down your objectives for your media plan, and how will you how will you base that? So will your media plan be designed to establish your expertise among your peers, the press, or your potential clients or customers? Will it be to build goodwill among your customer, your supplier, or your community? Will it be to create and reinforce your brand and professional corporate image? Will it be to inform and create good perceptions regarding your company or services? Are you introducing a new service or product to your market? Are you looking to generate sales and leads? Are you in a crisis situation and you're literally trying to mitigate the impact of negative publicity, or, like I said, a corporate crisis? You really have to be clear about what you're trying to do. A media campaign, you may want the result of it to be sales, but that really should not be the initial goal, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. And so I'm asking you these things at the beginning of the training because it really is supposed to show you how to create and develop a media plan. The answer is easy. Because in order for your media plan to be successful, it's first most important to determine and define your objective. So with a clear objective in mind, you have laid the groundwork to build your media plan. And I will send these slides to everybody that registered so that you'll have them along with the replay. So if you're not able to take notes, don't worry about that. I'll make sure that you're covered. Okay? All right. So once you figure out what the goal is, the next step is to define your goals in order to achieve your media. Once you know what your objective is, the next step is to define your goals in order to achieve your media campaign objective. So it's important that your goals be specific. It's important that your goals are measurable. It's important that your goals are results oriented and time bound. So these goals must be in line with your overall business, marketing, and sales objective. So one thing that I always tell clients is that you really want to be able to measure the difference that an interview makes in your business or your sales. And sometimes it's easier to tell than it is in other cases. So if you were to do an interview like on CNN, who has upwards of, I would probably say at this point, 20 million viewers, or Tom Joyner, who has 8 million listeners, it's going to be easy to tell that your business or your brand has been impacted by that. Because even if you just get 1% of 8 million of people, going to your website, that's a substantial amount of traffic. And so I always give tips, and this is something that I didn't include on the slide, so you might want to write this down, but you always want to make sure that you're giving something of value, and that you also have a way to capture the people that go to your website. So like I said, it's really never about the sale. It's like you want to get the one sale, or you want to nurture a group of people and then be able to convert more of them to buyers. So I always say that it's good just to give away something free on your website once you send them to your website. And for those of you guys who are like on the online entrepreneurial space, this will make sense. But send them to your website, give them something free, capture their email address, and then nurture that relationship and sell them on something later. Most people buy when they know, like, and trust you. And so it's hard for a lot of people to do that after one encounter. They say it usually takes between 8 and 10. So I would rather my clients get somebody on their email list that they can just continue to send good content to and nurture that relationship, and then sell them later, as opposed to just trying to make a quick sale on an interview. So that's just a little tidbit. The next thing, and this is really important, and I don't think that everybody quite gets this. It is really important that you know who your target audience consists of. So all media, my daddy always says, all money isn't good money. And this is true in media, because if you're talking to people who are really not your target audience, then it's kind of a wasted opportunity. You may get a sale here and there, but you're really not talking to the people that have need for what you're doing. So you really have to figure out who your target audience consists of. And this is on any level in business. If you're trying to do anything where you're asking somebody to invest in an opportunity with you, you have to know who your target audience is. I do this whole training on determining your ideal client, and it really gets detailed. I mean, you should know what they, what they like to eat. You should know what shows they watch. You should know what they're more likely to do on the weekend. You should be very in tune with your ideal customer. And that's not to say, because then people get nervous and they're like, well, what about all those people out there that may not look like my ideal customer? Well, if your stuff is valuable enough, you are definitely going to get people that are attracted to you, and they are not your ideal customer. So I always explain it like, if you're going to throw, if you take a sponge and you fill it with paint and you're looking at a bullseye and you want to hit it right in the middle, what's going to happen? It's going to splatter. The paint is going to splatter. You're going to hit the target. You're going to cover it. You're going to saturate it. You're going to nurture that target. But there are going to be some paint splatter that spreads outside of that. And those are the people who are going to be attracted to you just because you have good content. But you really want to make sure that whenever you're talking, whenever you're creating a product, whenever you're posting on Facebook, whenever you're tweeting, and whenever you're doing a media interview, that you really are focused on who your target audience is and who your ideal client is. And if for instance, you're like, you're an expert and you're not necessarily, selling anything, but you just want to be there to lend your expertise, you still need to be aware of who your target audience is and who the audience consists of, because you really need to tailor your message to fit them. So, you could be a financial expert, and the financial advice that you would give to, say, a hip hop station or a really young ended top 40 station, because they're, usually high school, early college, right out of college, that financial advice is going to be different than if you're listening to maybe a jazz station where the audience might be a little bit older, and they might be closer to retirement. So you're still a financial expert, but you would have to tailor your message to fit different audiences. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, type yes in the chat box so I know you're still with me. So really you have to think about who it is that you want to reach with the campaign and what do you want your key message to be. So that's really, really important as you start to craft this. The next thing is you need to develop a schedule for your media campaigns. You really need to create synergy by coinciding your media plan with other marketing and sales efforts. So let's just take Black Friday, for example, since that's coming up, and there's a lot of talk now about what people should be doing if you're in business for Black Friday and constructing your Black Friday sales. So if you know that you're going to be doing a certain online campaign that's going to build up to Black Friday, you also want to try to coincide some of your media so that it supports that campaign. Everything really should be working together. Like decades ago, before we had social media, it was a little more simple and a little more streamlined. But now that we have so much going on, we're launching products, we're launching services, we're all over social media, and we also have traditional media. You want to make sure that you're creating a schedule so that everything works together. There are just opportunities. And I know I sent out a media plan, and I think that I've talked a lot about just different ideas on how to fill that media plan. But there are just opportunities throughout the year for getting media for your business. I don't care what your business is. And so whenever you do that, your social media should support that. Whatever you're doing on your website should support that. It all should work together. So the fourth step is developing the schedule for your media campaign. And like I said, just making it all make sense. So you can, and you can even do this online, and maybe I'll even send one out later. But there are editorial calendars, there are social media calendars, there are also media planners and media calendars. And so if you can look at different ones, then you need to create those. But if you can merge it together, that's even better. I need one calendar. I've never sent out my calendar because I've constructed it just for me, but maybe I will if people think that would be of value. But it's a lot that you have to keep track. And if it's just you, it really is easy to see it in one place, as opposed to, if you have different teams that work on different things. But whatever it is, everything needs to work together for the good of your business plan. Okay, so it will be of value. Okay, good. So now what I love is developing the plan of attack. This is step 5. What communication vehicles will you use to get your message to the public? Some examples may include the press release, writing articles, sharing customer success stories. If you have, an opinion, a strong opinion of something, you can write a letter to the editor, holding press conferences, setting up interviews, even doing media tours, radio, television, print. Are you going to be doing speaking engagements? Are you going to be doing an event? Really through that mix, or, from that mix, you should pick 3. But because everything works together with social media, everything has to be in sync. And so one of the little known facts about the media, but I talk about it a lot. So if you've ever, been on one of my Facebook Lives, or you've been on a webinar before, I try to stress this. I mean, this is such a sweet spot to be in as somebody who's looking for media, because the media is also looking for you. So like the gatekeepers kind of aren't there anymore. And we're realizing, the media that is, we're realizing that, we do have a platform, but we also need to continue to grow our platform. And there are other things that are distracting people from focusing on us. And so if there are people out there that are experts, that are really generating some noise, they're like on social media, they're sharing good content, they have an engaged community, then we really want to partner with those people in order to continue to build our platform. And so it's no longer just a one-way street where, we're just benefiting you by giving you access to our platform. We now want access to yours. So if you are not on social media, if you are not sharing information around your expertise, then you really are doing yourself a disservice, and you're kind of one step behind when it comes to this media thing. Because that is one of the things that we check. I would Google you. I would check your Twitter feed. I would check your Facebook page. We want to know as much about you as possible before we add you to the mix on our on our show. And then the other thing that we started doing probably in the 2 to 3 years before I left is we really would start requiring that people promote to their social media, because we're absolutely going to promote you. And so we want to make sure if you have a platform that you're sharing the information. And if you were somebody that was not necessarily like you weren't Beyonce or you weren't Oprah, you weren't just like, you know, this huge celebrity that just always gives value just because of what your name is and what you've done, but you're an expert that you may have a great engaged community, but you may not be like this international superstar, and you don't promote, we might not have you back. It was like that serious. And so you really have to consider what you're doing on social media. And then when you put together your plan of attack, you really should have at least 3 different methods. And I'll repeat those, but you'll get the replay. You can consider a press release. You can consider an article, sharing in your marketing mix, customer success stories, letters to the editor if you have like a strong opinion about something, press conferences, interviews, media tours, what different kind of media, radio, television, press interviews, and even podcasts are a really viable way to get media coverage. Seminars, speaking engagements. Are you going to do an event? Are you going to get an event sponsorship? Really those 3, you should choose at least 3 from that list and put them in the mix. And then the final step is really to put measures in place to track the results of your media campaign. And this could be really simple. I mean, big companies really have like the technical things, but you can look at different things like where are you going to send, first of all, where are you going to send this traffic? So do you want people to go like your Facebook page? Do you want people to go to your website so that they can get some kind of free giveaway and then opt into your email list? What do you want them to do? And then look at those numbers. So if you had 1,000 people on your email list before you do this interview, then you can tell like how impactful that interview is. And it's very easy to find out how many listeners someone has. You can just ask the producer, and they should be able to give you a really roundabout figure. And then you can tell, did you get 1%? Did you get 2%? Did you get 5%? Did you get 10%? And really measure how effective it is. If you are on a radio station and you're doing an interview in the show, I'll take Tom, for example, because I'm really familiar with it. If it has 8 million listeners, right, and you do an interview and you only get 5 people to sign up for your email list, something is not working. So either your message was off, either something, on your website was not appealing. That just doesn't make sense. If I would say at least 1,000 people, and I'll just give you, me as an example. I was producing for Tom, but I was really careful not to cross boundaries. I mean, I didn't want anybody to ever think that I was leveraging my position for my business's benefit. And so, like I said, I mean, I was really careful about not crossing the boundaries, not with myself and not with my my clients, because I did have clients at that time. But there came a time where we were supposed to have a guest on. They were supposed to be talking about some of the things that I was really familiar with, and the guest didn't show up. And so Tom was like, "Nikki, you just do it." And so I did it. And my email list went up by close to 20,000 people, which is a ton of people. But I was ready. That was my business, so I was ready. So my only point in telling you guys that is that it really can be very impactful. And so you have to be ready, and you have to have some kind of measures in place to make sure that people are receiving your message and then responding. So every interview really should end, and this wasn't supposed to be part of the training today, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this to you too. But every interview really should have a call to action. So you should never do an interview and just be so happy you got the interview that you really don't send people someplace to do something. So if it's to like I said, like your Facebook page, or it's to opt into your email list, or follow you on Twitter, whatever it may be, you have to have a call to action so that you are sending all of that traffic somewhere. And like I said, if it's not impactful, then you need to, ask, maybe this isn't the right media outlet for you. Maybe it's not your audience, or maybe your message is off and you need to tweak your message. So one of the things that I like to teach is called the SMART method. And this is really like when you know what your objectives are, you can use this to really kind of backtrack with your media campaign and make sure that all of your objectives are met. So is everybody still there? This is crazy. I don't know what is going on. So let me know you're still there because I'm like freaked out. So the SMART method, it's like you be specific. Okay, great. Be specific. What do you want to happen? What's the end goal and what's the outcome you desire? So like I said, if it's to grow your media list, if it's to build your Facebook page, what is it? Is it measurable? So is your goal, can you measure it? Check that. Is it achievable? So how will you achieve and accomplish the campaign and do it within the constraints of the budget you've set, if you've set a budget at all? Is your desired goal and objective realistic? So say you want to sell 1,000 books. You're more than likely going to need to be on, a campaign or a media outlet, that has a significant amount of people to be able to move that many books. So make sure your goals are realistic. If you're doing a podcast, 1,000 books, it would have to be a powerhouse podcast. That's very possible if you're doing something like on CNN or you're doing something on Tom Joyner, as long as your messaging is correct. And then think about what the time frame is in order to accomplish your goals and objective. And then constantly refer back to make sure that everything is on track. And really that kind of SMART method could be, you can be applied to any of the campaigns that you're doing. So it's not kind of an overall thing. You can do it for each individual media campaign or each individual interview. So this is the media plan template that I set out. And so you really should, everybody should have a copy of it. If not, go back to your emails, you can download it. But this really is what I follow. So I, for whatever campaign, I put something in here for the Rock Your Own PR campaign. It's a course that I launched over the summer. The announced date that I did it was July 31st. And, then I put the content. So I did a press release angle. I did some guest posts. I also sent it out via my newsletter. I also did social media campaign and I did regular media. I didn't put my media contacts in here, so I whited all that stuff out. But you can also list your, if you know a blogger that might write about it, you can list bloggers. That's very good. If you know a podcaster or a host of a podcast that would be able to give you an interview, write that here. If you know a journalist, that's where your contacts go. And then you keep a status, you keep a deadline, and you keep a rating for how important it is to get it done, especially if you have a team. So the big thing about PR and media is that there's so much value in the follow-up. So a lot of us will send out our press release or we'll send a media pitch. We don't get an answer, and then we figure that that's the end of the story. And that really is not how it works. When I was producing for Tom, I would get upwards of 350 email pitches a day. A day. So there is no way that I could possibly have gotten through all of those in a timely manner, if at all. And so, I talk a lot about press releases and subject lines. And so if you emailed me something and the subject line was not, did not pique my interest, 9 times out of 10, it didn't get open. And so is not necessarily a no. It may be just that the journalist didn't see it. It may be, that the subject line was not intriguing, so it didn't even get open. So you really need to go back and kind of tweak what was going on. And so, like I said, it's like you need to really, because you don't want to be a stalker. There's like a fine line between persistence and stalking. So you don't want to be a stalker. So you have to keep track of who you've sent, how many times you've followed up, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's crazy. I tell the story all the time, and this happened like more than once. Like somebody would, and this is really like the corporate companies, that would send these press releases, and they would send you a press release. And then like 10 minutes later, my phone would ring and it would be the person who sent the press release. And they were like, did you get the press release? And, kind of, what are you going to do about it? It was so irritating. And so you really want to kind of time things out. You know you have a deadline, so you know what your deadline is. And you really need to know kind of the rhythm of the media. And so, like radio and television, like we're kind of on a shorter deadline. So I really would at times be booking people for shows the next day. Like there's not a lot of lead time unless it's like something that, we do every year. So like for like Thanksgiving or Christmas or Valentine's Day, like those kind of holidays, Veterans Day, Memorial Day. I mean, like those kinds of days we could, things we could plan ahead because they happen every year at the same time. But for other things, I mean, we really don't plan that far ahead. Now, print and magazine, that's different. They have long lead time. So for some magazines, it could be 6 months. Some print, it could be 2 to 3 weeks. So you really have to know the rhythm and kind of check in with people to find out where they are with their programming. The other thing that I'll say is that you really have got to be available. You can't pitch the media and then not answer your phone. So I could get a press release in June, right? And, it stuck in my mind, but I didn't really have anything and I kind of filed it away. And I usually kept pretty good notes and records if something piqued my interest, but I wasn't able to use it. And then in October, somebody canceled that morning. I could call your house at 5:30. I could call your cell phone at 5:30 and say, because we did a morning show. So it'd be 5:30 in the morning. We have, an interview spot at 7:30. Are you ready? And the really good people would be ready. I mean, they would always answer their phone. So you can't pitch the media and then not be around when you get a response. You have to be very careful about that. And so just in recap, these really are the 6 steps. How to design your media campaign. So you really have to ask yourself, what is this going to achieve? Then you can set your goals in order to achieve that objective. You got to figure out who your target audience is. So you got to determine who it is that you want to target with the campaign. You have to develop the schedule for your media campaign and then really figure out the plan of attack. So like, what are you going to do? Are you going to send a press release? You're going to send a media pitch? Are you going to guest blog somewhere? Are you going to write an article? Are you going to do all of it? You should do at least 3. And most of my clients, we really have like a system for getting all of it done, or as much as possible, because you really want to saturate and just like overwhelm the media when you're really trying to get something done. And then you want to measure, because if it doesn't achieve what you wanted to achieve, you need to figure out why. And really the 2 big things, it could be other things, but the 2 big things is that you're not speaking to the right audience or you're not sharing the right message. And so you really need to tweak that, or you forgot to give a call to action. So you may have done a great interview. You may have been talking to the right people. You may have shared the right message, but because you didn't include a call to action, you don't know what anybody did. You don't know what happened once you were done with them. So you really want to be able to move them to a place where you can really tell what the impact was of your interview. So I really want to share this other thing. I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I had kind of a come to Jesus meeting with a client. So I kind of added this in because I think it's really going to be a value. I constantly stress, so this is a bonus, y'all. I constantly stress, and I hope I have enough time to get through it, but I constantly stress the importance of writing great press releases. That really is one of the ways, to get media. And there's a lot of discussion about whether or not like the press release is dead. And I am here to tell you that it is not. Not only do traditional, journalists still use it, but it really does have its place on the internet. I've had clients where we've written press releases and we've sent them out, through our press release systems where they go to thousands and thousands of journalists, and we'll get hits and find out it's been picked up, in like, Paducah, Iowa. And, far, far, far away from, where the client is, because journalists need content. They need content. We have gone from, like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, unless there was breaking news, to a constant 24/7, all the time media, cycle, so that we're always looking for content. So the press release really does, have a place, and it really is the foundation of a media campaign. So if you're trying to build a media campaign and you're writing a press release, which you should, and it falls flat, your whole media campaign could fall flat. So just some benefits of the press release. There's really 10 main benefits, and it just works so well that I always want to encourage people to learn how to do this, because it's a system, but it can be done. So the first one, the benefit is instant exposure. Press releases really let you build trust and authority on different fronts by really getting journalists and media outlets interested in your story. But it also gives clients and prospects a new reason to visit your website, a new reason to buy a book that you've written, a new reason to come out and see you speak. It really is a good way to give you exposure and spread the word about what you are up to. The next one is it increases your sales potential. So aside from the credibility and really kind of keeping you in the public eye and getting that visibility, press releases can also boost your profit margins, which we all love, because they highlight like all the great stuff that there is to know about you. So benefits, features of your products or your service, they position your book, they position your brand, and it really does kind of give you a leg up on any competitors. And so that really does impact your bottom line and your revenue. They're a crucial piece of the effectiveness of your marketing plan. So press releases really are affordable, one, because they're free to write and send out, but they are a great addition to the marketing mix because the messaging is controlled by you. So you really get to kind of shape the conversation that people are having about you, your book, or your brand. It's also, if you're looking to be an expert, this is the time to brand yourself as that expert. So they build trust, they build credibility in your field or your lane of expertise. And a really good media campaign will give you the chance to start to lead the conversation and not be just a part of it. So what my company does is we really focus on creating authorities. So that you have your experts who are knowledgeable, but they're really just part of the conversation. The authorities are the ones that are leading the conversation. They're the ones that you're always seeing on TV. And this is an opportunity by using press releases to really get that. Increase traffic to your website. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with ereleases.com, but this is another way to send out your press releases. And according to them, 80 million people go online every day. 80 million people go online every day looking for information, education, stories. And so it really is important to use everything at your disposal, including press releases, to really get your book, your business, your brand at the top of the news feed and to boost your exposure. So you can do that really simply with press releases by including links to your website. When you write a press release and you include a link to your website, it increases your SEO, and then it automatically boosts you in the Google rankings. And that's the next one, number 6. The important SEO benefits is extremely important. Like I said, most of the smaller outlets are struggling for content. So a lot of times they'll Google something. And if, they're Googling the top 10 ways to get out of debt and you're a financial expert and you just released a book and you wrote a press release and you uploaded it to the internet. So when they Google it, you pop up, they could write the story without even talking to you because your press release is that great. But it's boosted you to the point where people are able to find you based on your expertise. And that is amazing. And that has such an impact on your business. It's also a new opportunity to reach your targeted audience. And so, it's just one way that you can speak directly to them. You can talk their language and you can get that to them. And then number 8, it's a time to distribute your content. I don't think that you should write a press release for every single thing that you do because we're doing so much, but certainly if you are making an impact with a new book or you've created a new service or you have a solution that people should know about, then you absolutely should write a press release so you can distribute that content to the people who really need it. The ninth thing is it creates a solid relationship with journalists. We're looking for a good story. You're writing a great press release. And like I said, I have actually, when I was writing for online publications and when I was in Chicago and I was writing for the Chicago Defender, I mean, I would write a story just on a press release. And sometimes, and I'll use, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Barbara Bates or not, but she's a fashion designer based out of Chicago. And she wrote so many great press releases. And I wrote so many stories just based on the press release. Eventually I called her and I was like, I really need to know who you are. I need to know more about you and what you do. And so you really can pique the interest of journalists and really, develop those relationships. And the 10th thing, the last thing, is it's a cost-effective way to attract investors. So when investors are looking to spend their money, I mean, they start by Googling you too, and finding who's out there and finding who's making a lot of noise. And because, you're getting the media, because your clients are enthusiastic about you, and because you're doing so great on, the internet, it could be more attractive for investors. So writing a great press release really is crucial to your media success. And so, as I talk about like things that the company offers, my company offers, and if you're really one of those people who are interested, not just in dreaming about getting more media, but are interested in doing to get the media, then I really want to invite you to take advantage of this deal that I put together just for this webinar, because like I said, I mean, I realized what a lack and a void there was in good information about how to write a press release. And it's the comprehensive press release guide. And it's a handbook, but it also has a bunch of templates in it, and it will walk you through how press releases work, what you need to achieve success, and really how to quickly write one that will get results. The thing is that, like I said, most people really struggle getting their press releases done. And these templates are aimed at helping you finally deliver it within a half an hour or less. So that absolutely fits into your hour-a-week schedule. And like I said, within this guide, I have fill-in-the-blank press release templates that you can use to support your next media campaign. So honestly, when I tell people like how much PR costs, they really don't believe me. But people that I do, and I do it for very few people. I don't do a lot of PR because I would rather train people on how to do it for themselves cost effectively. But for me, I mean, it would be $10,000 a month for me to take you on as a PR client because there's so much work involved. And just for me to write a press release could be $1,000 depending on what you want done. And so if you could spend even an hour a month just writing press releases and distributing them, you could really build incredible exposure for your business, position yourself as an expert, and easily attract your ideal client, all for a little sweat equity, right? And so who can beat that? So like I said, this is, it's something that I did just for this, and I'll probably release it after this at a higher price, but I wanted to offer it to you first because you showed up. But it's a complete handbook that walks you step by step through the process of writing the press release and the best times and places to use it. I give you live examples. Like I actually write a press release in this kit so that you can see the difference between bad subject lines and good subject lines and good lead-ins. And then I give you the press release templates to suit most everything, but you can tweak it to make sure it suits you. There's an expert template, there's an event template, there's a business launch template. And then as a bonus, because I love bonuses, I'll give you a free press release consultation with me to make sure you're on the right track for your media success. So if you are ready to invest in you and your business for the limited time, like I said, I'm giving it to you at a special price. I'm going to give it to you at 70% off the retail price of the comprehensive press release guide, because like I said, I love the dreamers and I love the doers, and I always reward you. So for a limited time, the price is only going to be $57. That's 70% off, guys. I want to give you the first opportunity to get in on this deal and just rock out. If you're indecisive, then you're going to continue to lose more money and more time, and we absolutely don't want that. So I always talk about this in all of my webinars because I think people buy, services, they buy products, they buy programs, and, they expect everything, all the work to be done for them. And fortunately, that's not true. So the rate of, investment is really, the return on investment really is up to you, because it's what you put into it. I'm going to give everything you need to be successful, but if you don't do anything, then that's really on you and not on me. So I know that you can do this. I know that I'm giving you everything you need, but you actually have to do the work. I also know what the cost of inaction is, and that's all the money that you could be making if you did the work. So if you want to make $10,000 per month, and you're only making $5,000 per month, if you're not doing what you need to do to get your message out to the masses, then $5,000 per month is what the cost of inaction is, and that's $60,000 per year. And for some of you, it's costing you a lot more because I know you're sitting on a guideline. So are you ready to take action? Or are you ready to continue losing money? So if you are ready to get going on this, like I said, I'm going to give you 70% off the retail price. It's $57. As a bonus, I'm going to give you a press release consultation to make sure you're on the right track. There is the website there. It's bit.ly/press release guide. Definitely pick it up. I mean, and I'll tell you quite honestly, the consultation alone is $250. I charge $250 an hour just to talk to people about anything. And so to get that consultation along with this press release guide, I mean, right there, you're saving a ton of money. If you guys have any quick questions, that really is the end. You have everything you need to get more media in an hour. But as I said, I was going to answer some questions. And even though we're right at an hour, I certainly want to do that. So if you have any questions, just type them in the chat box, and I will respond. But know that this is going to be a limited time offer. So I'm going to keep it at this price for 72 hours, but I'm getting ready for Black Friday too. So this will probably be part of one of my sales. And like I said, it's going to go back to regular price for that. So any questions about media or how to get more media or anything else, really? If you have a question, I'll answer it. Going once. I don't know if you're just typing slow or no, everybody is good. If you're good, just type good in the chat box. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. Thanks as always for popping on. If we're connected on social media, I'm always great at answering questions. Oh, somebody put a question actually in the Q&A section. So what does the S in SMART stand for? And where do you want to send your press release where? You mean to me? That you've already written? I'm not clear. You'll have to explain that to me. But the S in SMART actually stands for specific. Be specific. Like, what do you want specifically to ask? Sure, you can send your press release to me at support at nikkywoodsmedia.com. Support at nikkywoodsmedia.com. Okay? All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I hope that this was helpful. And I look forward to seeing you guys do all that great stuff that you're going to do. And I will, I saw one more question. Hold on. What is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. And so, when you're on the web, when you're on the internet, you can put certain keywords in that make you more searchable. So if you are an expert in finance, and it's specifically how to get out of debt, then a lot of the content that you share, you should be specific about, like using the word debt, so that if somebody Googles get out of debt, that you are one of the ones to pop up. So when, if you have a website, SEO is crucial for that. But also using certain keywords in Facebook posts, or keywords when you're on LinkedIn, or keywords in your press release, but also using like different links makes you more searchable. So SEO is search engine optimization. So I hope that was helpful. It's a big thing. So if you're trying to do anything on the internet, then you probably should read a little bit more about it. I'm not an expert in SEO, but I do know how to do some of the key things in order to be searchable. And so if you hire anybody to do your website and stuff like that, then you need to make sure that they're very well versed. in SEO so that they can get you to the top of the rankings. All right, guys, you can have a phenomenal night. Thank you so much for being patient with technical difficulties. I don't know what happened. Okay, so we got another question. If you are just starting, would you recommend this? I absolutely would. This is one of the best ways to start getting your name out there, is just writing press releases. And just, to spoil the surprise, I'm going to give you some other things that as bonuses down the line. So you definitely want to get in now, because those bonuses will go away. So when I sell this again, I'm not going to include a consultation. I actually give you another guide that helps you with media pitches, even though I was going to keep that as a surprise. I'll tell you now. But writing press releases and just uploading them to different outlets will get you a lot of business and start getting you a lot of attention and getting you the interviews that you need. It is a great first step. And certainly I do a lot of webinars. I do one media webinar a month. And so I train on a lot of stuff. So just being in this, in the circle with me, you're going to get a lot of information, but this really is a good first step. So hope that helps. Yes, press release is golden. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, guys, you have an awesome night. And like I said, I'll send the replay out and I'll send the slides out, and I will talk to you soon.